Texas, our Texas, a magical place, a place of land and legend, a place like no other. People come here to touch it, to feel the passion, to soak it in and be a part of it. Texas, our Texas.
Let's ride. Yeah! Well, howdy neighbors. I'm Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller, and welcome to Texas, our Texas. Now, what do horses, tamales, candles, and eggs all have in common? Well, they're all grown or made or cared for right here in Texas. And you're going to see a little of each of them this week. You know, I love a good tamale. And we found a company on the outskirts of Austin that, well, their name says it all, Tamale Addiction.
Sometimes opportunity doesn't arrive with fanfare. It actually appears quietly, almost accidentally, and it can change everything. For Adrian Paredes and his wife Mariana, that moment came in the form of a simple question from a farmer's market director. Hey, can you make and sell tamales? Well, they didn't know how to make tamales. Flautas was his expertise, but Adrian did know how to recognize an open door. So they said yes, and that yes would soon transform into Tamale Addiction.
Really kindly, they said, we cannot take you. But after I met her, she invited us to do tamales. She said, well, we cannot offer you this spot, but if you do tamales, you can take the spot in the farmer's market. And I just turned with my wife and said, let's do it. Let's do the tamales.
Adrian made phone calls to every relative who had ever wrapped a corn husk or mixed masa by hand. Recipes, family secrets, tips, and tricks poured in from all sides, forming the foundation of what would become their signature flavors. And today, Tamale Addiction is turning out tamales by the dozens of dozens.
I think the tradition of doing it, it's decaying. There's not too many companies doing it. I mean, people here and there, they're kind of taking over that tradition, but it's companies like ours, they're not very much. The reason why it's really difficult to make them, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of labor, but we find them like a really nice product. We got what everybody calls, we call it the tamale face when we tell people what are we doing. So when they ask me what are you doing, what do you do, I say I make tamales, and they all open their eyes and say, oh, tamales. So we know this is kind of a food that brings joy to people.
Customer joy has led them to be regulars at festivals all over Central Texas. Sometimes they attend 5 in one day, and Adrian has even bigger plans.
The idea of Tamale Addiction, besides continuing doing the farmers market, it's open small stores and then just try to sell the tamales in different small shops, ready to eat and frozen.
Part of Adrian's success can be chalked up to his partnership with the Texas Department of Agriculture's Go Texan program.
Happily surprised because we've been receiving only good things from Go Texan the Go Texan organization. We were invited to Canada to see if we can sell there. We went to the New York the food show. We received last year a grant. So we've been receiving only good things from Go Texan. And being part of that, I think, small group or group of people that we're doing things here in Texas, it's always really good to have them.
Adrian Paredes didn't just start a business, he helped build a community around flavor, tradition, and shared connection. Tamale Addiction stands as a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful journeys begin with not knowing how, only knowing you'll find a way.
Hi, my name is Adrian Paredes. I'm with Tamale Addiction, and we're Go Texan proud.
Now, coming up, the smells of leather and gunpowder and cactus and candles. Yep, stay tuned.
You just never know what's inside one of those metal storage buildings that pop up everywhere. Well, in Amarillo, Texas, there's a workshop that smells of cedar wood, fresh cotton, leather, and a hint of high plains wind. This is Dirty Hands Candle Company, and this is Mike Hudgens Candle Factory and more. It all started when Mike bought what he thought was basically a tiny company, a hobby really, with a name he liked.
You know, I think it was more the name of the company and the vision behind it to create a candle that was a rustic fragrance that tied into the Western lifestyle that you couldn't walk into a big box store and pick off the shelf. And so when I bought the company, there were, I want to say 6 to 8 fragrances that came with the company, and what I call them my core fragrances, and I still have all those today. And I've added probably 8 to 10 more over the last 4 years.
For Mike, candle making isn't just a craft, it's a science and an art. Each batch is mixed, poured, trimmed, and labeled by hand. No assembly lines, no shortcuts, just real, true craftsmanship in every jar.
You know, you've got to be somewhat of a little bit of a mathematician. You've got to know a little bit about chemistry. You've got to be very, very precise. One candle at a time. I'm not a big production company. You know, I can't pour 200 candles in a day. You know, I may be able to pour 50, and I am very, very particular. I mean, the label has to be on straight. You know, the wick has to be trimmed just right. You know, everything that goes into that candle has to be done perfect. And if it's not, you know, it's not going to go out the door. And I'm always trying to come up with something new and unique, but not get away from the vision of the company. So I still want to tie into the Western lifestyle, something that's rustic. That's my cactus blossom.
Ooh, that smells good.
From scents inspired by West Texas storms to candles that smell like old leather, sweet mesquite, or cactus blooms, Dirty Hands candles have become a hit at trade shows and online.
They're genuine, authentic. I think one thing that I've heard customers over and over say, when I smell your candle, I don't get a headache like from a candle that I buy out of a big box. So I've shipped product to California, to New York, to Michigan, North Dakota, South Dakota. I've got about 20 core customers that are just repeat customers here every year, and sometimes multiple times a year.
In a world that moves fast, Dirty Hands Candle Company reminds us that some things, like hard work, heritage, and heart, are worth taking time for. And being a Go Texan partner is something that Mike takes pride in as well.
I joined the Go Texan program about 4 years ago, and after I researched everything and saw, you know, the reach that they had across the state, and I decided, you know, I'm going to give that a try. And so all my products are branded and have the Go Texan logo.
Mike didn't plan on being a candle maker. He didn't grow up dreaming of fragrances or wax mixtures. His journey started somewhere far more personal, rooted in a lesson he learned as a boy. And that takes us back to the name of his company.
So Dirty Hands really came from working with your hands, handmade, work ethic, and it kind of rang true to me, for me. Excuse me. Because I grew up farming and ranching with my dad up in the Hartley County. And I can remember at the end of the day, he'd come in and he'd say, "Bub," he said, "don't you feel better that your hands are dirty at the end of the day?" So that, the name itself just struck a chord with me. I'm Mike Hudgens with Dirty Hands Candle Company, and I'm Go Texan proud.
Well, welcome back, folks. The Texas Department of Agriculture has many services that help Texans, and our inspection programs make sure our agriculture products are top quality and safe to eat. And one of those functions is our egg quality program that ensures fresh, healthy eggs are on grocery store shelves.
Breakage, we have the TDA license. Right here it has a check. So this would fall under our exterior quality as far as breakage. There's a tolerance that we allow for checks and leakers. So this would be classified as a leaker. So this is when the eggshell is completely busted through and the internal part of the egg has seeped into the carton. So we will not pull that out. We will just mark this on our egg inspection worksheet.
Well, coming up, hey, what happens to those old draft horses after they can no longer work? Well, one woman is making sure as many as possible don't end up on somebody's plate or in the glue factory. It's a story of equine animal love. Next, Texas, our Texas.
Out on the wide flatland near Amarillo, the Fletcher Farm stands as a quiet action of devotion. Well, it isn't flashy, it just simply works, day after day, held together by wind, dust, determination, and the steady presence of horses who've been given a second chance.
Starting out in the morning is feeding everybody. Obviously, I take care of these guys in the barn. These guys are our special needs animals, you know, baby donkeys and the horses, they're all our special needs. So I start out by taking care of them, and then I go out in the pasture and check everybody. Usually about 3 times a day. Usually in the morning I'll check them, and then I'll go take another walk in the pasture in the afternoon, and then at night these guys get fed again, and then I do one more check before I go to bed. So never a break.
At the heart of it all is Julie Fletcher, who runs her ranch mostly by herself. Her best friend, Kara Starkweather, and Julie's husband, Corey, help when they can, but it's Julie who has taken on the almost unbelievable task of caring for more than 100 massive draft horses and a few dozen donkeys.
It all got started with a donkey on Craigslist. We found Jack, who was about 5 years old and needed a home, and we went and looked at him. Kara and I went and looked at him on Craigslist, and went out to the farm and met the donkey, and that's how it all got started, because the donkey needed a pasture pal.
Life at the Fletcher Farm is built on routine and resilience. You might think Julie has done this her entire life, but you'd be wrong. She grew up in Chicago and only came to Texas 10 years ago. She traded her office job for a life on a ranch, and in spite of the back-breaking work, she wouldn't have it any other way.
These are all living beings. They're not just machines. You know, they're living, breathing animals, and they deserve a good life and a life of retirement, and, you know, the best love and care that they can get.
I'm technically the secretary of the Big Hoof Foundation, our nonprofit, but I kind of just do whatever needs done. We joke around and we say I'm Aunt Brushies because I always come out and brush the horses. That's just what I love. That's my happy place. And
I work a full-time job, work Monday through Friday. So I come home and help where I need, but for the most part, this is 95% Julie. I'm just like your grounds maintenance guy and handyman.
Now, how long is your Apollo? You know, you're probably our biggest person too. Yeah.
So by now, you have to wonder why. Why would Julie Fletcher invest so much time and money into caring for these mostly geriatric animals? It's to keep them from being shipped out of the country where they end up on someone's dinner plate. That's why.
These horses are here because we've rescued them from kill pens, which are holding facilities. And the holding facilities take these horses, they all come into these holding facilities, and they bring them in there, and then if someone doesn't adopt them, they ship them off to slaughter. Lifespan for a draft horse is usually between 20 and 25 years old. Most of these horses that come to us are in their upper teens, so they only have, you know, a couple years left, and, you know, we want to give them the best life that we can give them with as long as they have.
Each horse arrives with a history written into their bodies, old injuries, tired eyes, a cautious distance that comes from being used too hard or too often. At Fletcher Farms, they're not measured by what they can produce. They are allowed to rest, to heal, to simply be horses again. And that is what warms Julie's heart.
Some of these horses come to us, they're skin and bones. Sometimes they come to us with medical conditions. A lot of them have had eye cancer. Most of them have had cellulitis in their legs, which is an infection that's very treatable. And these horses and donkeys just don't get the medical attention that they need and that they deserve.
Draft horses are gentle, curious, sometimes stubborn, but mostly they're affectionate. And it's those attributes that transfer to the people around them.
they're big, and I think people don't realize how big they are. We have people come out to the farm and they're just kind of intimidated, because of how big they actually are, and then you get up to them and they're just like, they just want to cuddle you, and you're like, oh, okay, well, it's not too intimidating.
Julie, she doesn't do this for recognition. Rescue on this scale is rarely glamorous, and it's almost never easy. And dealing with the naysayers, well, that's part of the job.
I can't tell you the comments that I get on Facebook and our YouTube channel, and just the criticism that you have too many horses, you're taking on too much, you can't take care of all these horses. You know what? I'll prove you wrong every time, because I take care of all these animals by myself every day, by myself. You know, Corey helps out, and as you know, everyone else here helps out as well. But I take care of these guys on my own every single day. This is my job. This is my life.
More than 100 horses wake up safe each morning because one woman decided they mattered. That is the legacy of the Fletcher Farm. Not just a rescue operation, but living proof that quiet perseverance and unwavering kindness can accomplish just about anything.
This all means the world to me, to see these horses. Sorry. To see these horses come in the conditions that they come in and turn around and thrive, that's the most rewarding thing, is to see their progress and how far they can go. I never thought that we would ever have anything like this. This is far beyond anything that I ever thought that we would ever have. This is saving lives, and no matter what it takes, this is what it's all about, is saving lives and making a difference for the ones that we can save.
It's a story that's hard to tell, and it's even harder to watch. It's something that proves human compassion is still alive and well. Well, that's all the time we have for this week, folks. Thanks for joining us. I'm your Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, reminding you that American agriculture matters. And in closing, here's today's cowboy logic. You have three choices in life. You can give up, you can give in, or I prefer, give it all you got. See you next week.